a bunch of questions, but I like asking directors a curveball at the beginning. If you could get the financing to make anything you want, what would you make and why?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask this because I don't have, as of right now, I don't have aspirations to tell a massive tentpole story. I tend to focus on stuff that feels very character driven and kind of dissect and analyze character. And so, um, budget for me is less of an issue because I tend to tell stories of people talking in rooms. And so the budgets are quite low. But yeah, I don't have an answer to that specifically. I think for me, if I'm able to continue telling thought provoking stories that allows an audience to think for themselves and have their own ideas, that's what I like to do, you know. So whether that is a much bigger budget film or a contained smaller film, um, that it doesn't really matter to me. It's all about exploring ideas and characters within those ideas.
In the credits, you thank James Gray and David Benioff, and I'm just curious why those two. There was other people, but
You're really analyzing. Nice. I didn't
yeah.
think anyone stays and stays for the full credits. Um, I have gotten to know both of them a little bit, and I mean I'm a huge fan of both of their work, and I feel like whenever I make a film, um, I try to reach out to, in my mind, the most talented, interesting minds I can to get their feedback. It terrifies me. Sending the film to James Gray terrifies me, because I have such respect for him and he's so brutally honest. But I really wanted his notes. I really wanted his thoughts, and if he could give me one note that helped the film, then I wanted that. So for both of those guys, I sent this film and was able to have a conversation with them, and yeah, it was really special.
Did you actually? I know a bunch of directors, and I know a lot of people do what you did with that in terms of showing it to people and getting
Yeah.
honest feedback. Did you make any big changes as a result of feedback from friends and family?
I wouldn't say I made any big changes, mostly because with this film, you have a very structured story that you can't change scenes around it. It's the first time I've ever made a film where I'm like, oh, this scene that I thought was going to go here, I'll move it 10 minutes earlier. I've done that quite a few times. This film is so much about in real time and the process of the situation. So I didn't make any big sweeping changes, but I got a lot of really strong character notes, which is so much of the DNA of this film. So I feel like it really improved by showing directors, especially because there was some really interesting ideas about character, about performance. You know, do you have this? And so I was really able to get in there, and then also the way in which I shot it, it was really pre-planned. So there's moments where I'm going back to a visual that in the beginning of the film represented something that was, you know, beautiful and pure and innocent, and then I come back to that same shot an hour later, and there's a very different feeling, even though it's the same house, it's the same shot, but now all of a sudden the place is corrupt and feels tainted and scary. And so the idea of showing it to other directors and getting their feedback to see if that connected with them, that was really special to have conversations with those guys.
I love the use of Three Amigos in the movie because it is a great movie and a great clip, but it also says a lot about those three characters and
Yeah,
what this movie is about. Thematically,
yeah.
it's a very good clip. How tough was it to get the rights to use it? And what were you going to do if you couldn't get the rights?
I feel like a lot of directors would have this answer, which is my mind didn't go to we're not getting the rights. It's like we have to get the rights, because once that clip, the idea of that clip came into our minds, it was like, okay, this is the perfect clip thematically as to what's sort of going on and what we're exploring in the themes, but also the idea that there's a comedic kind of, and then also a nod to an era of film that I grew up on. I watched that film 100 times over as a kid. So, but the idea that it's not like a dramatic scene that's like that's trying to really point at this theme of have and have nots, but that there's comedy to it, and that the characters would actually laugh in this moment, even though they're in this situation. And then in that moment, Jesse's character clocks that Lily and Jason are both laughing and sort of connecting in some way. And then that takes the movie into a different direction, like tying in a seemingly just funny clip into something bigger. I just loved that idea. So in my mind, it was only that clip. And it took a minute to get the rights to it and many conversations, but we rejoiced when the news came in that all three actors signed off and we were able to do it.
I'm out of time, but I just want to ask you something else real quick, just if I can, if they don't stop me. So I love movies that don't answer all the questions, and obviously Jason's character, nobody is. You never establish who he is, why he's doing this. But in your mind, did you have those answers, or did you love the idea that it could be just anything?
In the back of my mind, I have answers, so I'm grounded in some sort of reality, But the idea of the audience bringing in their own thoughts and ideas into the film was always how I wanted to tell it. I never wanted to spoon feed the audience or manipulate them to feel a certain way about a character. They're all flawed characters. There isn't a traditional protagonist. We sort of connect and disconnect with characters throughout the film. And so, if you believe that Jason is robbing this house for pure reasons, or, to pay for a parent's surgery, then you should believe that's right, or if you believe that he's just as corrupt as CEO, then you should believe that, so that was always the intention. But yeah, in the back of my mind, I have ideas which could also completely differ from the other writers. We all have our own ideas coming into it.
On that note, I got to go. Congrats on the movie. Hope you're making
Thanks,
something
Steve.
again real soon. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.